So the greatest challenge in Norway, or I know most about Norway, one often puts together the Scandinavian countries. Seen from the outside, of course, they have a lot of similarities. However, they're also quite different in some respects. And so if I really look at Norway and female employment, I guess your question is also regarding female employment and women in the labor market, I would say a big challenge is really that the public sector is so large in Norway. So 60% of women are working in the public sector. Now, the definition of public sector is always a bit tricky because, of course, like health, every country needs a health sector. So it's a bit a question of how sectors are organized. But I would think that regarding wages, it's good also to have a competitive private sector that gives women also the option to move in and out of the public sector. So that's a big challenge, I think, generally, that we observe very little mobility between public and private sector, and that has, of course, an effect on wages, because public sectors usually pay lower. They offer different work schedules, which have some amenities that compensate for that. But then in the private sector, you can really make higher wages in some sectors specifically. So I think this is one sector, one big question, big challenge Norway has to deal with. The other is incentives, the incentives to work. Of course, working hours go down generally, which is a good thing because in some countries still 42 hours is a full-time job. That's difficult to combine with having a family. And at the same time, we want to have high fertility, which is a huge challenge in many countries. Now, Norway is in the fortunate position that they still have quite high fertility, but it's also below 2, the replacement rate. So I think an incentive to invest effort, to invest in productivity, it's a big challenge, also given that the wages are very high in Norway. So the incentive to move to other countries, like for university graduates, I think is not as high as in other countries. But in globalized markets, we would think this is very important, that there's also a lot of mobility. But also, of course, in the country, if you just look over careers, the incentive to invest more, to increase wages over the career are very important for the firms and for the individuals. So given the high welfare state that cushions employees against a lot of risk, I believe this is a huge challenge, also given the expenditure, of course, that the welfare state has, which are huge, and we need tax income to finance the welfare state and sustain the welfare state. So the third challenge, I think, is really the expansion of the private sector. What industries Norway will go into. Now they have been living on the fish industry and the oil sector very well for many years, but of course this will not go on, so it's very important, I think, for Norway to invest in the education sector and develop new private sectors, sectors that can create employment for the future.